Dan RadioStyle, hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. One of the biggest mistakes so many of us make in life, in manifesting, and all these things is we give away our power. Our power is the most important thing we have. That is your creative source. That is your energy. That is your internal ability to create the life you want. And many of us give it away, and we kind of do it accidentally. I think we do it somewhat because of the way society currently is. We do it for some interesting reasons. The reasons don't necessarily matter. It's the fact that we do it. We need to see ourselves, catch ourselves doing it, and if we do, we can then resolve it and stop doing it. Now, what am I talking about giving away your power? Well, what I'm talking about is situations that many of us attract into our lives. A lot of times something might happen in our life that we don't like. Maybe it, quote, triggers us. Maybe it gets us riled up. Maybe it gets us angry. And so because of that, we react to the situation. And then on top of that, we oftentimes blame the situation for how we feel. Now, feelings are something that are associated to the thoughts we have. So your thoughts create feelings. We frequently talk about this in manifesting. It's one of the ways to make manifesting more powerful is to truly try to get the emotional component behind it. So that's why when you think of something, you try to imagine being there so you can actually get that feeling of that reality, that feeling. Feelings are truly what manifests. Goddard talks about it. A lot of people talk about it. It is the feeling that has power. The feeling is essentially your soul having a conversation, if you will. Your feelings are your soul saying, universe, this is what I want to experience. So when we react to something, when we look at something and say, oh, you've caused this feeling in me, we then push this negative feeling or this angry or whatever the feeling might be, and we push that feeling out to the world, claiming we hate it, claiming we're upset about it. And in reality, what you're doing is manifesting more of that. And then it happens again, and you blame it again, and you experience it again. And we go into these cycles. And these cycles happen generally because we've given up our power. We've pushed it outside of ourselves, and we've stopped accepting any responsibility for what we experience. And when we do that, we're kind of at the whim of whatever's happening, whoever's controlling the ship. Right? I've talked about it before. You being the captain of your ship and telling your crew, this is what I want. This is what I'd like to experience. This is the life I would like to have. Rather than just letting Joe Schmo, one of your crew, he's piloting the ship, you're standing next to him and then getting angry because he's not piloting correctly. Well, it's your ship to pilot. Why would you get angry at one of these people that are helping you get to where you want to go? Again, we frequently talk about how people show up in our lives as mere actors in our theater, in our dramatics, in what we experience. So by saying something outside of you has triggered you, well, you're actually missing the point. You created this situation. You've invited this situation because for some reason, there's something in it that you either want, something in it that you accidentally don't want, or something in it that's meant to make you see the contrast. And when we do see the contrast, when we accept the responsibility for what's happening, for what we're seeing in our lives, for what we're experiencing, we now, one, have power to change it, but most importantly, you're now able to look at what's happening to you in your life and make it help you. These things happen frequently for a reason. A lot of the times the contrast, understanding why this upsets you, understanding then, what do I want to experience? Then sending out a new script to all your actors, to all your crewmates. Send a new script to everybody once you realize what you actually want. Once you realize, oh, this is happening because I'm missing something. I keep asking for this situation to occur, and so it does. And then I get angry when it does instead of understanding what is it about this situation? What is it inside of myself that needs a little light shined on it? The one part of manifesting that most people hate, and in fact, it's probably the one reason why a lot of people will click off a video, because it instantly says that you need to do something. Unfortunately, that is what manifesting is all about. There is the concept of law of attraction, but there are a number of spiritual laws. And so it's not just the law of attraction that's at work in our lives. I've talked frequently about it's very easy to attract something to you, but once it's in front of you, well, sometimes it's based off of you as an energy, you as the way you feel. If you're a grumpy, mean person all the time, and you attract the love of your life who's maybe not a grumpy, mean person, they're not going to get a good feeling from you. And it's not going to create the results you want. You manifested the proximity. You manifested them into your life. You handed them a script that you wanted them to read. But for whatever reason, you were not really setting the stage properly for them to read that script the way you want them to. So what is it that we need to see inside of ourselves? The second you look out at everything else and you say that is their fault, that is those people's fault, that is over, you're taking away all of your power. Because every time you point your finger, you've got 3 fingers pointing back at you. One of the most important things that people don't get when it comes to what we notice in life. You notice what you understand. When they say the world is you pushed out, it has a lot to do with the fact that you only notice what you are internally. Example, say you're a fit person, you're really into fit, you really run a lot, all this stuff. And so you might see somebody that's talking about being fit and talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and maybe they don't look real fit, right? Maybe they look like they're heavily overweight, and you're like, all right, well, maybe you're kind of getting into it. And then they start talking about what exercises they do, and you realize really quickly, they don't really know what they're talking about. You can identify it because you know it's something that you're made up of. And since they're not really heavy into exercise, maybe they're just starting, maybe they're kind of new. I'm not trying to make it difficult. I'm just saying from the standpoint of somebody that does it a lot, or maybe someone that knows martial arts really well, and you've got this person over here talking about, oh yeah, well, I would just jump over and I would kick up in the air, and you're like, oh man, you obviously don't know what you're talking about. We understand what we see. And if it's not something that's within us, if it's not something that we have understood consciously ourselves, then you're not going to recognize it. Ever. You won't see something that you don't understand. And it's not that it's not there. It's just that you don't understand it to be able to understand what you're seeing. And that's where we kind of sometimes will miss things, right? We think we're trying to manifest something into our life, and then all of a sudden something happens and we perceive it the way we are currently, when maybe it's more than that, or maybe it's something very different. So again, we point fingers a lot of the times because we see something that is us. We see something that is inside of us. And we've got 3 fingers pointing back. So when you see that thing that triggers you, when you see that person that's making me feel a certain way, when you see that situation that's causing angst and anger and all that, understand when you point at it and go, oh, you're causing anger, 3 fingers back at you. Why? Why is it causing you anger? What is it inside of yourself that actually has more in common with this thing that you're upset about than you want to admit? This is where working on self truly comes into form. It's not that it's hard. It's not necessarily like working out and I got to do friggin' 100 sit-ups every day and 100 push-ups and 100 squats. No, you just have to be able to be honest with yourself. You have to be able to look at what's happening to you and understand this is happening to me, by me, for me. My experience, my reality is not the same as yours. It's created by what I see. Now, you could live right next door to me. You could live in an exact same condo as mine. The guy right over the way, it's the same condo, it's just reversed, right? You could be in the exact same condo, same situation, same neighborhood, and still have a completely different experience of life. And that's because each of our experiences is ours. We see what we know. So there could be 100 colors all around you, but you only know 5 colors, so that's all you see. You only see the 5 colors. It doesn't mean that the other 95 colors are wrong. No, it doesn't mean that the other 95 colors are right. But it means right now you're seeing 5 colors. And if you're angry about not seeing more, or if you're angry about the colors you're seeing, you need to step back and realize, well, 1, there is a lot of other colors. There's a lot of other experiences out there. Why is this what I'm experiencing. What would I like to experience? Use the contrast for the power that it's meant to have. Understand that this is your life to live, and understand that these are your decisions, your experiences to learn from. This is all about you, 100%. And if you want to make a difference, if you don't like what you're seeing in your life, if you don't like the results that you're getting right now, look inside. Why? It's a simple question. And if you can truly identify the thing that is inside of you that you don't like, you can then forgive that portion of you. You can make small changes. So now you're not maybe being so much color orange. And now all of a sudden you're starting to realize, oh, I'm not seeing as much orange in my life. Oh. And you can also use the opportunity to say, hey, I'd like to see more purple. I think purple's pretty cool. I'd like to see more of that. And you know what? As the orange disappears, you'll probably start to see more purple, because now you're trying to understand purple. Now you're trying to look for purple. Now you're trying to tell the crew, or you are taking hold of the wheel and saying, we're heading towards purple, because that is where I want to go. This is your life. This is your experience. Make it whatever you want. It's Dan Radio Style.